For this edition of On the Agenda, I'm pleased to have as my guest the retiring superintendent of the Douglas County School System, Don Remillard. Thank all of you for tuning in today. I'm Bill Osborne, City Manager. I'd like to welcome you, but especially welcome to Superintendent Don Remillard, or maybe I should say retiring a former Superintendent Remillard. But anyway, Don, it's great to have you back on the agenda.
Well, thank you, Bill. I'm pleased to be here.
Right. And of course, a few months ago, you were my guest. Actually, you were the last of several people I talked with in the two-parter we did concerning Georgia Highlands College. Ken Bernard, local attorney, who's a member of the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia, he said it was because of a conversation he had had with you that he first became very interested in bringing to Douglasville, Douglas County, a unit of the University System of Georgia. And of course, we were talking about Georgia Highlands, which is a two-year school whose main campus is in Rome. And you had made arrangements for which we're most appreciative so that they could temporarily be in some modular units on the campus of Chapel Hill High School. And of course, now they're getting ready to move into their more permanent facility down in the former Cub Foods space. In fact, I think the ribbon cutting grand opening is scheduled for August the 4th. But as you leave the superintendent's position, share with us of what you believe it will mean for this community to have both Georgia Highlands College and also a branch campus of the University of West Georgia here in our community.
Well, I think I'm just really excited about it. In this day and age, post-secondary education is a must. I think those two schools will help with the economic development of Douglas County, and it'll be a great asset to the students and the adults in Douglas County as well.
Right. Well, the city of Douglasville certainly believes this will be a great asset. And of course, the mayor, members of the city council, our city development authority, we tried to be the bridge to make it possible that University System of Georgia, Georgia Highlands, and a private developer were able to work out everything financially to make it possible for them to be here in our community. And so we're looking forward to what the future may bring because of that. Now, I know that speaking of institutions of higher education, that you've had a good, close working relationship in recent years with the West Georgia Technical College, as it's now known. And a couple of months ago, I interviewed Dr. Skip Sullivan, the president of that school, and we were talking a little bit about the College and Career Institute, CCI. And I know that that's a collaborative venture of the school system, the Chamber of Commerce, and West Georgia Technical College. From your perspective, share with us a little bit about CCI and how it functions and why you think that is of such value to this community.
Well, it's to all of us in this community, it's a great value. That partnership between the technical college and the school system really makes it cost effective to put high quality career and technical education training programs right here in our community. And the buy-in with the Chamber of Commerce also partnering with us, number one, provides the resources that we need to give real life experiences to our students, and hopefully we're preparing their workforce for the future over there. Students need to be able to move on when ready. Students mature at a different level, but when they're ready to really begin that career preparation phase of their life, now they can do it in a high quality way while they're in high school. So we'll have a number of students, even this year after the first year of operation, that will not only receive a high school diploma this month, they're going to receive a credential from West Georgia Technical College. And we're really excited about that, and we expect the program will continue to expand over the years.
Right. And just having West Georgia Technical College here in our community really makes us one of not that many communities in the state to have that type of facility in our midst. And I assume that's a great value to our students in the school system here.
Tremendous value with the Hope Scholarship. Citizens in Georgia, including our high school students, but adults as well, can attend virtually for free. There are some expenses for books and supplies and that kind of thing, but in this day and age and the economy the way it is, we have a lot of people who are training. for employment. And one of the things that West Georgia Tech brings to the table, they're constantly on the leading edge as to where the jobs of the future are, and they will customize the training to prepare people to go directly into the workforce, and they've established a relationship with employers in the area who are actively looking to hire these students when they complete their program. So not only for our high school students, but for all the adults in the community, it's just a tremendous asset for us.
Right, right. I want to switch gears for just a minute and go back to your early years. And I'm not talking about the early years of here in the Douglas County school system. And, you know, it's kind of like the cowboy that in the old western town who says, partner, I don't think you from around here. And I know you went to Berry, but I don't think you from around Rome either. So where are you from, Don?
Well, I have a little connection with Rome. Actually, when my dad was in the Army, he was stationed at Fort Benning, and he met my mother in Columbus when she was at Columbus College. And after they married, they settled in Holyoke, Massachusetts, which is near Hartford, Connecticut.
Right.
Dad was a member of the Pipe Fitters Union, as his dad was, and so I began my life there. I was born there, but when I was 2 years old, my parents made the decision to move back to Rome, and so they built a house in Rome, and we moved down. But unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of construction work in Georgia at the time, so Dad was having to travel a good bit. My mother had 2 toddlers to tend to by herself, so when I was 5, my family moved back to Massachusetts, where there was plenty of work back at the time. And so, no, I'm not from Georgia. I started kindergarten in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and graduated from Holyoke High School, but then at my mother's urging came to Rome in Georgia to Berry College, and that's where I got my degree.
Right. And then how did you make your way to Douglasville, Douglas County?
Well, interestingly, even back in 1972 when I graduated, there were not enough math teachers to fill all the jobs, and I was a math major, so school systems from all over the South actually came to Berry to recruiting fairs. One of the assistant superintendents from Douglas County Schools came, and I had a great interview with him. In a day or two later, they called me back and invited me to come to Douglasville for an interview. One of my mother's brothers lived in Douglasville, but I had never been here.
Right.
So I agreed to come and interview, and I liked what I saw. And what a wonderful decision. What a great place to raise your family. So my bride that I married a week after I graduated from college and I headed here and moved into the only apartment complex in Douglasville at the time where many of the young teachers lived. And so yeah, it's kind of strange that a Yankee named Remillard would end up in Douglasville, Georgia, and have the career that I've had. But it's been very rewarding. I look back on it, and it's been great for me, and it's been great for my family.
Right. 38 years.
38 years.
Kind of take us along the path from when you first arrived until present day.
Well, I started teaching high school math at Douglas County High School, which was the only high school in the county at the time. Part of my responsibility, part of the classes I taught was working with high school dropouts who we had encouraged to come back or potential dropouts. 2 years later, the coordinator of that program was promoted to assistant principal, and I took over that program, and my duties changed a little bit. A lot of what I did was the counseling aspect of keeping students in school, placing them in jobs so that economically they could afford to stay in school. And so I did that for 4 years, first at Douglas County, and then when the new Lithia Springs High School opened, I moved down there. After my 6th year of teaching, I was appointed assistant principal at Douglas County High School. I spent about a year there, and a position came open at Lithia that looking for someone with a vocational education background, and I had gained that working with that work-study program. So I was asked to go back to Lithia, and I spent about 14 years there as assistant principal. From there, Ms. Sheehan, our former superintendent, promoted me to the county office to oversee the vocational programs in all of our middle schools and high schools. And then over the years, my responsibilities increased as budgets were cut, so I became director of high schools, and then later director of high schools and middle school programs.
Right.
When the assistant superintendent for general administration came open, I was fortunate enough that the school board hired me to do that job. And after a number of years working as assistant superintendent, when Randy Britton retired, I was offered the job as superintendent,
Right.
and that was 7 years ago. And here I am now, retiring after 38 years as superintendent of schools.
That's fantastic. Now, during that 38 years, did you ever come close to leaving? And if so, what caused you to change your mind?
Well, not really, Bill. I had some opportunities along the way, and I had some that I had to consider as I was a young administrator and had some feelers about some offers that were pretty attractive, but I was so happy here. My family was happy here. My wife worked with the school district as office manager at Winston Elementary. My children loved their schools and loved their teachers and were involved in after-school activities, so it really wasn't a hard decision to turn those things down. And the people here were so encouraging for me in continuing my career here and let me know that there was a bright future ahead of me. So,
right.
While I thought about it, it really wasn't anything that I was interested in.
Right. Well, I know that during that 38 years that you certainly have touched many, many lives. In fact, a couple of days ago, I was talking with our finance director for the city of Douglasville, Karen Callan, and told I would be interviewing you. And she noted that when she was a student at Lithia Springs High School, that you were the assistant principal there. At that time, she was Karen Bennett. And I'm sure that situation's been repeated hundreds and hundreds of times. And I know, well, as you know from our past conversations, my father was a public school teacher and then a principal and finally a superintendent. And I remember him telling me about how strange it was that young men and women who had been students of his, he was a math teacher, by the way, also, and then they graduate, they go out, they get married, they have children of their own, and all of a sudden, children of the children that you taught or were where you were assistant principal, they're back, they have their own kids in school. So look back, if you would, just for us, and how does it feel as you were looking at the second generation? You might have even been getting close to the third generation of students that you had had.
I am. Well, it's absolutely wonderful. Everywhere I go around the community, and often outside the community, I'll go to Florida on vacation and run into former students. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a thrill for me to talk with them about their lives and their careers and see the pictures of their children, and now see the pictures of their grandchildren, right. and to have them tell me that they're living in a nice subdivision and working and a productive citizen in the community, because basically that's what we do. Right. Our job is to prepare young people for the lives that are ahead of them, and it's really a thrill. It's fun to go. I've got grandchildren playing ball in the recreational system now, and as I go to the ballpark out at Winston where my 4-year-old grandson plays, a lot of the parents out there who are coaching those teams have children who came through Lithia Springs High School, so it's really right. gratifying. Right. Absolutely. Right.
And I know if we had a 12-hour program that we were doing, you could share many, many stories, but a couple of quick examples perhaps of that stick out in your mind during your 38-year career.
Well, of course, a lot of them are the very simple things, the things where you run into people and they tell you how much they appreciate either having worked for you or having been a student under you. I had a parent not long ago talked to me about her son who's doing quite well now, and she told me, well, he would have never finished school if it wasn't for you. And I'm not sure what I said or did because I just don't remember, but right. It really warms your heart to do that. Early in my career as an assistant principal, the student body at Lithia dedicated the yearbook to me, and that was meaningful to me because I think it's important that even though you sometimes have to deal with discipline problems and those sorts of things, I think it's important that you gain the respect of the students and the staff at the school. So that was really a thrill.
Right. Well, I know your service to this community, while it's focused through the school system, that you've been involved in a number of other activities in the community. I know that currently you're serving as chairman of the Douglas County United Way Advisory Board, chairman of the Douglas County Community Services Board. I could name a number of organizations where you've been in leadership roles, but why have you been so willing to immerse yourself in this when you had all of the other responsibilities going on? Well,
I believe it's important that the school superintendent take an active role in the community and trying to better the community. A school system is only as good as the community support we have. And so my work with parent groups and community groups is extremely important to me, and it's something that that was a major goal of mine as I became school superintendent. And also I've been blessed in this community, and my family has as well. And there are those folks and families in the community who are not as fortunate. And so a lot of the agencies that I work with, like United Way and Community Services Board and Board of Health, serve the less fortunate in our community. And I just feel a moral responsibility to do that. And It's been my pleasure to work on that. And every minute I've spent with it has been well worth it.
Right. Any particular things that stand out? A couple of quick stories with all your community service that you've done?
Well, just the thank you from people, those that I serve with, but those that we've been able to help have been very, very gratifying. And you know, a lot of people say, "Gosh, I couldn't do it or I wouldn't do it," but I'm glad that you're doing it. So that's what makes me feel good.
Right. And now that all of the troubles and tribulations that you have as a superintendent, as well as all the wonderful things that happen on the job, now that you're retiring, though, do you plan to keep yourself immersed in some of these community activities?
I will. Some of those really need the new superintendent or his designee to work with those. So I'll be coming off of some of the board so that my predecessor or someone he appoints can work with it. But I am going to stay active in the community. I've recently accepted an appointment to the Boys and Girls Club board, and it'd be my pleasure to serve that board. I've also recently accepted an appointment for the board on our credit union that serves the school system, because I want to make sure that credit union stays strong and continues to serve our staff for years to come. And so there'll be many things I'm involved in, and I'm certain there'll be some committees in the school system that I'm going to be called on to serve, and it will certainly be my pleasure to do that.
Right. Of course, we're somewhat alike as we're both are getting older and older, and it's kind of like that old Dean Martin song, Memories Made of This. And I'm sure you do have memories not only from long ago, but some that have been made recently, because I know that you've had friends and colleagues to honor you and over these past several weeks and months. I know I was present back at the annual meeting of the Chamber of Commerce back in February, in which you were named the Citizen of the Year. Frankly, I was doubly pleased with that, because the city of Douglasville, through Mayor Thompson, had been one of the ones that had nominated you for that honor. And of course that night, being identified as Citizen of the Year, and a lot of the people with whom you'd worked in the community standing up and applauding for you, how'd that make you feel?
Well, I was overwhelmed, honestly, very, very humbled, and you know, I don't even remember some of it. I was so overwhelmed, but it was a great joy. Had my family there, and so many of the people that I've worked with over the years. And as I look around the county, and many of the folks there that night were people who have served this community in so many ways over the years. It was just very humbling, but also very exciting, and I'm very, very proud of that.
Right. And I know that there are other awards and recognitions you've received. The communities in schools in Georgia awarded you their Educational Leadership Award. About the same time, the National Association of School Psychologists honored you for an award that the 2009-10 Government and Professional Relations Outstanding Advocate. And I'm sure all of these have a special place in your heart, but I would imagine the Community and Schools Award has a very special place because of your involvement with that in the past. Tell us about that award and your involvement in that organization.
Well, I'm very happy to get it. Communities and Schools works with those students who are at risk at every age level, elementary, middle, and high school. But the ultimate goal is to help children stay in school and to graduate from school and move on with their lives. And in my opinion, they've got the most successful model that there is out there. And we're using their model to do things like our mentoring program that's so successful, our after-school program for children who don't have parents at home after school, our Performance Learning Center for those at-risk high school kids who are likely not to graduate if they don't get some extra help. Right. So I've always been an advocate of those at-risk kinds of kids. So it was very, very special to me. And I was very humbled. They gave it last year to the mayor of Atlanta, Shirley Franklin, for the work that she had done in helping them with the at-risk population in Atlanta. So it was a huge surprise, but I am a big advocate for that organization, and we just have one of the finest communities and schools program you'll find anywhere right here in Douglas County, and it's because of our staff members who work hard with it day to day. But I've given them my unwavering support because the work they do is just outstanding.
Right. Earlier we were talking about you being a student at Berry College and then coming to Douglasville and starting your career. But the information your office provided me, I noted that you had received your master's degree in guidance and counseling from West Georgia College in 1975 and received a specialist degree in guidance and counseling from West Georgia College in 1976. So you were still moving along with your education even after you started work here. Do you remember those days pretty well?
Oh, absolutely. Now, some of those days were grueling because we taught all day and then drove to the campus at West Georgia and spent 4 hours in class. So it was usually 10 o'clock or after getting home, and long, long days. But met a lot of wonderful, wonderful people and great memories from West Georgia. Back then, the college was a little smaller. You know, everybody knew your name, and they would help you if you had a scheduling problem and that kind of thing. But great experience, and I'm a huge proponent of students or young teachers going back to school, because learning doesn't stop with that first degree.
Right. And of course, after you moved here, continuing your education that you just described, but as you noted, you were newlywed when you came here. So tell us about your family.
Well, I've got 2 boys. My wife and I have been married for 38 years next month. My oldest son is a graduate of Georgia Tech and is the general manager of a manufacturing plant in Dalton. And he and his wife, a Douglasville girl, have 2 boys as well. He's got a 7-year-old and a 4-month-old. My youngest son is a graduate of Jacksonville State University, and like his dad, he's a mathematics teacher currently at Alexandra High School. He's been coaching football this year. He's coached baseball in the past. He and his wife is an Alabama girl that he met in college, have 2 children as well. They've got a 4-year-old boy and about a 6 to 7 week old little girl. So you know what I'm going to be doing in my retirement to start with. I'm going to be spending some time with those 2 babies.
I'm sure you will, but does your wife have a list of things now that so busy with everything we've been talking about and now retirement? Is there a honey-do list waiting for you?
There is a honey-do list. That woman can think up more projects than anybody I've ever seen, but she is a very hard worker, and during her retirement, she retired 7 years ago, she's done a lot of those projects, and I had thought, well, gosh, if I just work a few more years, she'll get them all done, but I've realized now that's not going to happen. So she'll have a lot of projects for she and I both to do, and we like working together.
Well, even though you and I have not had a real close working relationship, we have worked together, and I appreciate that working relationship. I appreciate the relationship that exists between the school system and the city government.
Well, I think it's critically important. One of the first things I did as superintendent was to meet with the mayor and meet with the county commission chairman and meet with the leadership at the Chamber of Commerce to pledge my support. I think it's critically important that we work together, and it's easy to get at odds if you don't have a priority to stay together. And I'm so appreciative of our relationship with the city and the mayor and yourself and the city council people. I think it's been a good relationship, and I think it's been a win-win for both of us and for our community.
Right, I agree with that. As we move to conclude today's program, Don, let's look ahead a little bit. The Douglas County Board of Education, after an extensive search, selected your successor as superintendent, Dr. Gordon Pritz, former associate superintendent of the Cobb County School System. Tell us briefly about Dr. Pritz.
Well, Dr. Pritz has a great resume. He began his career as a 4th grade teacher in Cobb County, but he is arguably the most successful wrestling coach in Georgia. Won numerous state championships while at McEachern, and just did a great job. Along his career path, he decided he wanted to get into administration and took his first job in Paulding County as an assistant principal and athletic director at East Paulding High School. A couple years later, he was selected to be the principal at Marietta High School, which is a big facility and a large school. Was very successful there and was promoted to their county office as assistant superintendent at Marietta. And then later was recruited back to Cobb County to be their associate superintendent over their operations department. So while I didn't know Dr. Pritz personally, I've known of him over these years, and everything I know is good. And I've had so many people around tell me that they do know him personally and have worked with him, and they hold him in the highest regard. So the short time I've had to work with him, I'm extremely impressed with him. I think he's the right fit for Douglas County, and I think he'll continue to move this school system forward.
Very good. Now, without divulging any confidences, what kind of advice did you give him?
You know, I talked about the importance of the things we've talked about today, the importance of working with the community and working with parent groups, of being visible in the community, of treating people with dignity and respect. I believe a contented cow gives more milk, and so I think it's important that the staff members that work for us are happy. And times are tough economically, and we're all having to make tough decisions, but for teachers, it's more of a calling. It's not so much about how much that paycheck is. It's about being appreciated for what they do. And I can tell you this, the sense I have for Dr. Pritz, he's right on target with those things.
Great. And I know he has hit the ground running, and will be a valuable asset to this community, and I look forward to working with him. In fact, I look forward to having him as a guest on the agenda sometime soon. But Don, give us a thumbnail sketch of what you see as you look into the future of Douglasville, Douglas County, and our educational scene here.
Well, I think Douglas County will continue to grow at a rapid pace, to be honest with you, even though there probably won't be a lot of new building in terms of residential construction. There are many homes available already now in Douglas County, and the area is so attractive. It's such a great place to live. With the job market in the metro Atlanta area, I think eventually when things turn around, there'll be more and more jobs there, and many of those people will move out here. And I know you all are actively recruiting business and industry to come to Douglas County, and have had quite a good bit of success with that, and will continue. So I think we're going to continue to grow in Douglas County. I think the school system is going to continue to grow. Through the generosity of our residents here, we've been able to pass our 1-cent SPLOST sales tax to build schools and renovate buildings. And then when the growth in our student enrollment was so high that 1 cent was not going to be enough to even come close to catching up, this community voted a bond issue. So the schools we're building now are a result of that bond issue. So I think we're almost at a point where we're going to catch up and have enough classrooms to serve what we've got. But as the community grows, we're going to have to continue to build classrooms and renovate some of the older buildings. So I think that's part of it. I think our curriculum and instruction department will be partnering with the state and the federal government as we move to a common curriculum nationwide that really identifies national standards that students need to know. And those are really predicated by the international standards, because the workplace now is just not your community, it's all over the world. And so I think you're going to see great things happening in the instructional program in Douglas County. Some of our brightest students in our advanced placement and our international baccalaureate classes are going to go on to do great things, and I think you'll see an expansion of some of our programs for the at-risk kids to keep them in school and get them into the vocational education training they need through the CCI and the West Georgia Tech to provide them the skills they need for meaningful employment. Right.
Well, Don, I always give my guests an opportunity for a last word, and even though it may be that I have you back as a guest, this will certainly be your last word as a superintendent of the Douglas County school system. So what is that final word to our viewers?
Bill, I just want to thank this community. They've been so kind to me and my family. Being school superintendent is really a tough job, and I hope folks will give Dr. Pritz the same consideration and encouragement and support that they've given me along the way. But it has been an absolutely great career. And to be honest with you, it's hard to make that decision to walk away and retire, but I think it's best for me and my family, and I really think it's best for the school district to move forward. I think, you know, you contribute a certain level, and whenever new people come into the system, they bring fresh ideas and enthusiasm. But I just want to thank this community and to thank the school board members I've had the pleasure of working with for the support I've had over all these years.
Right. It's been a pleasure to have you here today. I appreciate your service as superintendent and appreciate you including a trip on the agenda among your final activities as school superintendent. To our viewers, thank you for joining us. I'm sure that today's program has brought back some memories for many of you that have been a part of this community during the 38 years that Superintendent Remillard has been here. Hope you will join us next time for another edition of On the Agenda.